Baruch Hu es Adonai HaMavorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMavorach
Baruch Adonai Le'olam V'oed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'kabbalah mikol ha'amin v'nasamanu es tov v'sov. Baruch Atah Adonai nosein ha'torah.
We are reading now from the book of Exodus. Vayeshev Moshe lishpot et ha'am, and Moses sat to adjudicate the people and their disputes. Vayamod ha'am al Moshe min haboker ad ha'erev, and they sat from morning until evening, coming to Moses with their issues. Vayir'a ten Moshe et kol asher hu asa la'am. And his father-in-law Jethro was watching and saw what was going on. And he said, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this? What are you doing with all the people? Why are you doing this all by yourself, just sitting there alone while all the people come to you? From the morning until the evening. כי יבוא אלי העם לדרוש אלוהים כי יהיה להם דבר בא אלי ושפפתי בין איש ובין רעהו. Well, the people come to me because they have disputes, and they want me to try to discern what God's will is in these disputes between a man and his neighbor. והודעתי את חוקי האלוהים ואת תורתיו. And so I am here to elucidate God's rules and statutes and his Torah. The word Torah just means teaching. Originally, that's all it is, a teaching. It's related to the word direction, to point someone in the right direction. Later on, it became known as the Torah, HaTorah. But originally, it just meant a teaching. So he's there to share God's teaching. So Yomer Hoten Moshe Elav, Lo Tov Hadavar Asher Ata Oseh. I think you know what Lo Tov means, right? Lo Tov? That's not a good thing. What you're doing is not good. Lo tov hadavar asher ata oseh, niv'al tiv'al gam ata gam ha'am. It's going to tire you out and the people. Asher amcha ki kaved mimecha davar, because this is too much of a burden for you. Lo tuchal asehu levadacha. You can't do this all by yourself. Ata shamar b'koli. So listen to my voice. E'etzacha. And let me give you some advice. Vayhi Elohim imcha haya ata la'am mol ha'Elohim v'haveta ota et ha'dvarim el ha'Elohim v'yizharta athem et ha'chukim v'et ha'torah v'hodata lahem et ha'derech yelchu ba v'et ha'maaseh asher ya'asun v'ata tachzeh mikol ha'am anshe chayal v'yir'u Elohim anshe emet Sonei betza v'samta alehem sarei lafim, sarei me'ot, sarei chamishim, v'sarei asarot. So go out and find some discerning people who are wise, who don't take bribes, people who fear God, and who don't fear other people, who don't fear men, and appoint them as heads of thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. ושפטו את העם בכל עת, והיה כל הדבר הגדול יביאו אליך, וכל הדבר הקטון ישפטו הם. All the big things will go to you, the little disputes they can handle. והקל מעליך, ונשאה אתך את הדבר הזה תעשה, וציווך אלוהים, ויכלת עמך, וגם כל העם הזה, al mimkamo yavo b'shalom v'yishma Moshe l'kol chotno v'ya'as kol asher amar. Now, my friends, this is the greatest miracle that we're going to hear in this passage in the Bible. You might think it was the splitting of the Red Sea. You might think it was the plagues. You might think that it was Noah's Ark. No. This is the biggest miracle right here. It says that Moses' father-in-law Jethro gave him some advice, and Moses accepted it. Moses listened to his father-in-law and did all that he said. blessing after the Torah. Oh, wait a minute. Can you guys do it together? What's that?
That's fine.
No, you do it too.
Do it together.
This is Brent. He's having a bar mitzvah pretty soon. Go ahead, together. On 3. 1, 2,
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher nasa lanu Torah semes v'chayei olam v'tavos Eloheinu. Baruch atah Adonai Nosein
That was very good. If you would like to hear more, when is your bar mitzvah? Do you remember the date? He thinks. Is your dad here?
March 13th.
It is March 13th. That's a lucky day. March 13th. Everyone here is invited on March 13th. You'll hear both blessings. He's going to do an awesome job. Thank you very much. Well, there's an allegorical story about the leader of Iran, and he's talking to the head of the United States, and he says, you know, I had a dream, a vision. It was really amazing. And I had this vision, and I could see in the vision the United States, and I saw banners flying in the United States all over on the houses and the buildings. And the banners, they said, the United States of Iran. The president said, well, that's interesting. I also had a dream. I dreamed that I was seeing Tehran in the future. And I saw banners all over their buildings in the capital and the houses. And he said, what did the banners say? He said, I don't know. I don't read Hebrew. Well, my friends, not all of us read Hebrew. But still we have the opportunity to delve into the Torah and learn some of its wisdom. And the Torah has many interesting intricacies that are played upon and investigated in Kabbalah and Jewish mysticism. Kabbalah means to receive, it's received wisdom. And also in Gematria. Gematria is numerology. Gematria comes from a couple of words, geo, meaning earth, and metric, means to measure. It has to do with mathematical equations and arithmetic. But it came to mean in Jewish circles, Gematria means to find the numerical equivalent of Hebrew words, and in that way find connections and associations. So for instance, most people know a little bit of Gematria. You might not realize it, but you know Gematria. Anybody know what 18 signifies? Chai, it means life, yes. Because the number is Chet Yud.
Yud Chet.
Chet Yud, you read Chai. Anyway, Chai means 18. Okay? And now we also have another interesting matter of Gematria. And that has to do with Valentine's Day. Okay, in Gematria, the numbers that add up to spell love, Ahava, is 13. The Aleph is 1, the Hays are both 5, the Vet is the second letter, it's 2, it adds up to 13. Now, by an interesting coincidence, the numbers that add up to 1, Echad, Aleph, Chet, Dalet, also add up to 13. Isn't that interesting? That the word for love matches the word for 1. And is not that what love is? It's seeing the other person as 1. See, no matter what their race or religion or even their belief system. But there's more to it than that. You see, the letters that add up to God, Yud, He, Vav, He, also known as the Tetragrammaton, the 4 letters, they add up, my friends, to 26. The Yud is 10, the He's are each 5, and the Vav is 6, 26. If you take 1, and if you take love, and add them together, the 13, so you get God? Is that not what God is? We have many definitions for God. I like to think of God as a creative power that's in everything, that unites everything, and is beyond everything. If you put everything together, you get God, but God is more than the sum of the parts, because there's a spiritual component to everything around us. In isolation, you don't see it. But when everyone comes together in love and the universe functions as a whole, then all the parts form something greater. If you take our bodies, the chemicals don't really mean a whole lot. But if you put them together in such a way, and then add the spark of life, now you have something completely different. You could think of God in that way. You could also think of God, according to Gematria, as one, unifying everything, and also love, which is everything coming together as one. And 13, therefore, is a very significant number in the Jewish religion. We do not subscribe to superstitions that say 13 is unlucky. We do not believe that there is anything beyond us that is controlling us. We don't believe in fate or predetermination. We believe that we have been given free will to do as we wish. And so we Jews, dafka, when other people say it's unlucky, we get bar mitzvah at the age of 13. And that's why March 13 is a great day, because 13 is the number for love and for oneness and the components of God. And so it's appropriate that we make this a very special number. Many people have a misconception about the bar mitzvah. They think when you're bar mitzvah that you no longer are a child, you put childhood behind. How horrible. To think that the greatest time in our life we would want to discard it. Why not incorporate that into who we are and just add another layer, a more mature level? But why would we want to discard childhood? No. We don't believe in Judaism that we want to get rid of that sense of awe and wonder and that ability to inquire and feel this marvelous spark of joy about us. And many people misunderstand. They asked a kid, what does it mean when you're bar mitzvah? He said, well, that's when I reached the age of adultery. No, that's not really what it's all about. But we do have the 10 Commandments in this passage. The 10 Commandments are in this passage, which is very interesting, because the passage is called Yitro. Yitro is the father-in-law of Moses. And Yitro is not Jewish. But the passage that has the 10 Commandments is named for someone who is not Jewish. What is that telling us? It's telling us all is one. This was not meant for just the Jewish people alone. Many people think that if you're non-Jewish, you shouldn't be up on the bima. You shouldn't have anything to do with the temple. We shouldn't go out. No. Judaism was meant to take these teachings and share them with the rest of the world. And don't tell me that our job is already done because Christians and Muslims are monotheistic. They have interesting religions. But the teachings of the Torah are not present in Christianity and Islam as they are in our religion. They do not teach as we do that we're born good, born with a pure soul, and that we have the ability to create a heaven here on earth. They often teach that people who are not like them are going to a bad place, and therefore it gives them license to treat others unjustly. Our work is not finished. We have much to do. In fact, there was once this man who showed up at church for the first time in many, many years. And the priest was so thrilled. He said, I'm so glad to see you here. What caused you to come here? He said, well, to be honest with you, I just want to let you know, I lost my hat. And I noticed that there's a parishioner who has the exact same hat as I did. And you know, I thought that while he closes his eyes to pray, I could walk off with that hat. He said, but after listening to you preach on the 10 Commandments, I changed my mind. There was a tear in the eye of the priest. He said, oh, that's so wonderful. Do you mean when I read about thou shalt not steal, you decided you didn't need to steal that hat? He said, no. He said, When you read, "Thou shalt not commit adultery," I remembered where I left my hat. You know, we bring people in to the synagogue and the church for all types of reasons. Some people come in to wear a hat. Some people take off their hat. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what brand of Judaism you ascribe to, as long as you ascribe to one that allows you to use your rational mind. Now today, we commemorate various things in our past. Darwin and Lincoln were both born on the same day. Lincoln wanted nothing better than to become president of the United States. And when he finally attained that achievement of his life, he could have just been complacent and just said, "I made it. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy being president." But instead, he took a brave, courageous stand. He risked it all and gave his life. Why? Because what we're commemorating here today, love. He had love for other people and unity. And he said this country should be one. And we should not allow slavery to be spread throughout this country. And he gave his life for it. Yes, we commemorate someone who risked it all and gave his life for unity and for compassion. Darwin also showed us that unity is real. Before that, people thought that all the species were all separate and distinct and had nothing to do with each other. And Darwin showed us that we're all one, we're all part of one family tree, and that the other animals are like us. They have the same ability to feel and to think and to hope and to aspire. And therefore, they're part of our shared family. He was very courageous also in many ways. He released findings that he knew would get him into a lot of trouble. And in many other ways, he was very, very courageous. We also read in this passage, we read a remarkable thing about a non-Jew who is praying recognizing the same God, a non-Jew who is revered by Moses. How many rabbis today, if a non-Jewish person said, "Hey, you know what? I got some advice for you." A priest yet, how many would take that advice? In those days, that was before there were all these divisions and barriers. He didn't think, "Well, you're not Jewish." They didn't even know what that concept was. They were just sharing a belief in a power greater than themselves. We read last week Bashalach. Bashalach is a passage in which the Jewish people said to God, "Thanks a lot for the miracle of manna from heaven. Thanks, but no thanks. Is that the best you can do? We want meat. We're not satisfied. A miracle food comes down from heaven. It's not good enough." You would think, how could that be? Today, don't we have people today who live in our society who have everything they could possibly want? And we're still not happy? We're still complaining? Why? Because we don't have enough goods or things? No, because we don't have love. And we think that we can replace that by things. So they complained bitterly. And God was angry. And just then, as they were complaining, and Moses threw himself on the ground, and he was saying to God, "What can I do with these people?" God said, "Okay, you want meat? I'll provide meat." Quail flew over and dropped dead on the spot. And they all ate their fill of meat according to the Torah until it was coming out of their nostrils. And just then they had a great plague, and thousands of people died. Many people think it's because we weren't meant to eat meat in the first place. Many people think it was because we were so greedy that even a miracle happens that we couldn't accept it. We were just complaining. But my friends, we don't need to look too far to recognize the fact that right now, as we sit here, acres and acres and hundreds of acres are being cleared in the Amazon so that we could eat more meat, so that they can produce more hamburgers for McDonald's in factory farms. This is a plague upon our society that is killing us in ill health and killing our planet. And if we want to take the lesson seriously of love, we'll extend love to all living things. And if we're going to partake of any animal products, we better make sure they're raised in a way that is somewhat compassionate, or give up the practice altogether. but to destroy the rainforests, to make room for me. And not only that, that for a country that decimated and eradicated the native population, to allow its corporations to be destroying the rainforest and also killing off leaders who stand in the way and speak up on behalf of their tribes for the right to exist. We are supporting people who are killing off their leaders who stand up. This is a very shameful, shameful practice. We need to have love for all people and for all creatures. I'm going to end this discussion with this. The people who suffer the most from these school shootings, who have been ravaged, our students, they have a motto. It's called see something, say something. I wish that our students would say something if they see a child sitting by themselves, a child who's isolated, a child maybe who's made fun of or ridiculed on the internet. I wish our students and our children and our adults would say something and say, that is not right. I will not put up with that. This is shameful. And maybe they could say something like, how you doing? Hello. I imagine on Valentine's Day, they chose that day because these people, these kids who were so alienated, hated a day that celebrated love because all they felt was hate. So they took that day in which they never received cards and they never received love. What if a student had said to them, Happy Valentine's Day? What if a student had given them some flowers? Who knows what might have happened? The life they saved could have been their own. See something, say something. See a child, see an adult, see someone who is not doing well. Say something. Can I help? How are you doing? And maybe it would be different. And let us also say something to government officials who are taking money from people who profit off of the death of our people. And let them decide to put human lives in front of their future. 30 years ago, Voyager 1 was traveling off into space, and Carl Sagan said, I want to take a selfie. It was perhaps the first selfie and the most famous of all. He had the camera turn around, and it took a picture of planet Earth 30 years ago on this day. And you know what that picture showed? It showed that our prophets and our sages were right. This world is one. From a cosmic perspective, as we imagine God must have a cosmic perspective, we saw a pale blue dot, and that was Earth. And that said in ways that our Torah and we and our music could never say. It said we're all one on this little tiny dot. And we have the nerve to fight with each other and argue with each other and not like someone because of the color of their skin or wipe out other living things on this planet. It showed us that we're all one, and that this power in this universe, this power of love, is one. I hope that in the future, this congregation will continue to unite the incredible findings of science with the amazing, wondrous teachings of our heritage, and show that they're one and the same if viewed properly. They're telling us we are one, and therefore God, this power of God, is the power of love. Shabbat Shalom.